Thanks everyone for coming this afternoon. Just to give you an update on where we're at with the Auckland Harbour Bridge. So we're making really good progress on both a temporary and permanent solution for the Auckland Harbour Bridge. I'll start on the temporary solution. So we now have a design for a temporary solution which will involve cutting and unbolting the damaged strut halfway up and installing new steel and attaching that to the bridge at the base. That new piece of steel is now in Auckland, came up from Taranaki. We have it in the manufacturing plant and it is being manufactured right now. So we're currently in the process of constructing that piece of steel. At the same time, we are still undertaking a third round of independent peer reviews to make sure that our calculations are correct. But provided they come out correct, which we're hopeful they will, we are planning to start the installation of that piece of steel from Tuesday night. So on Tuesday night we will be closing the southbound direction of the Auckland Harbour Bridge and we will start the installation of that piece of steel. That might take us a couple of nights. Once we've done that, we will also need to do some real life tests which will involve taking some heavy vehicles up onto the Harbour Bridge to make sure that the bridge is performing as per the design. Once we have completed all of that and provided it passes all those tests, we are hopeful that we'll be able to open an additional lane in each direction for all traffic, including heavy vehicles on the main structure of the bridge. So that's where we're at with the temporary solution, and hopefully we'll be able to have additional lanes later in the week. As far as the permanent solution goes, we are now in the design phase for the permanent solution, undertaking the detailed design of that, sourcing the steel, so that we can begin manufacture shortly. The challenge with the permanent solution, as I explained yesterday, is about redistributing the stresses back around onto the new strut around from the bridge, and that involves jacking the bridge or pushing the bridge to get tension back into that strut. So there's quite a lot of design work that has to go into that. I think the last thing I'll comment on is the traffic today. So we put a message out yesterday that we were encouraging people to work from home, if they couldn't do that, to take public transport, because there was plenty of capacity on public transport, or use the Western Ring route. I'm really pleased to say that we had good deferral away from the Harbour Bridge. So northbound there was about 30% less traffic compared to last Monday. There was about 60% less traffic compared to last Monday southbound. But as you can see, even with that much traffic deferring away from the Harbour Bridge, we still had quite severe congestion across the city. So we just reiterate our message that if you can work from home, we encourage you to do so for the next few days. If you can't do that, public transport was operating incredibly efficiently. There was no delays for public transport on the northern busway. It was able to get right up to the bridge and straight over. I took that myself and it was very efficient. Some of the feeder services did get caught on local roads, and then of course the Western Ring route is still available. So I'm happy to take any questions on any of that. Yeah, so that will be an overnight closure. It will go in at about 9 o'clock at night and we'll reopen at about 5 in the morning.
How many days do you anticipate that work?
We think the work will take it 2 nights, but we won't know for sure until we get up there and understand how challenging it is to install this and make sure there's no issues. But the plan is over 2 nights we'll do that work. It may take 3.
Just quickly on the Western Ring route, people who still had to drive today were encouraged to take that, but a tweet I think went out about 8 a.m. saying don't take the Western Ring route, go over the bridge instead, the Western is clogged.
Yep.
What is the advice for people tomorrow?
Yeah, so look, the advice is to take the Western Ring route. However, we monitor it 24/7 in real time. So we're able to make those changes as things change during the morning, and that's exactly what happened. We had an incident out on State Highway 18, caused some additional congestion. Our operations centre was immediately able to tell people, actually it's quicker now back on the bridge. If you're heading in now, change to the bridge. So we can balance it in real time. Yes.
Print this better, or are you pretty likely so that the equipment fits faster, or do you think that did its job in this?
Look, I reiterate how this incident happened. It was a freak incident. So we do plan for wind on the Harbour Bridge. In this case, we had severe winds up to 127 kilometres an hour that happened in seconds. And the bridge does have a level of vulnerability. It does have structure above the bridge deck, and so that is vulnerable to a level. We plan as much as we possibly can to protect that. In this case, it was damaged. As far as our response is concerned, I can assure you we are chucking a huge amount of resource at this. We have got a lot of engineers that have worked all through the weekend. We've got construction guys preparing the methodology for the construction of it. We've got fabricators ready, lined up to build it. And in fact, it would be good if they stopped ringing me, because I've got plenty of people ringing me offering their support, and we think we've got plenty of resource to do it. Yeah, correct. Overnight on Tuesday when we're doing the work, there'll be no access southbound. Northbound will still have the clip-on, so there'll be 2 lanes northbound. We will put in a detour route, which will be using the Western Ring route. So we'll use the crossing at Upper Harbour to detour back round. So we have to do that because we need the space to bring the steel in. We also need the space so that we can manage the health and safety for the workers up on site, and we need the space to be able to do that. Yeah, so look, we always have the alternate route in place. If there was an incident that required us to get off the bridge, we can always uplift the closure, or we can escort a real emergency through, but our desire wouldn't be to do that. But in a worst case scenario, we could manage that. Yeah, no pressure. Look, we're confident as well, but we're not going to open it unless it's safe to do so, and that we're 100% confident that it's going to work. So that's why we've asked for a third independent peer review of the design, and why we're also wanting to do some live tests before we open it to traffic. Correct. So we're replacing the bottom half, but when we put in the permanent solution, we will be replacing the whole strut. So.
You said obviously before that you had to look but around here it's still really congested. How long is the average journey? What is the length that's being added to the average journey?
Yeah, I don't have those statistics on me, but we can provide that. There were some journeys obviously that were longer than normal today as traffic got used to it, and we are seeing some congestion in the local roads while people get used to that. I just again encourage people that where they can take public transport, they do. If you can't and you need to use a vehicle, then use the Western Ring route. Alternatively, allow extra time or spread your journey. I just have to reiterate that advice. When we lose half the capacity on the bridge, that is always going to have an impact. Getting a lane back in each direction, so we have 3 lanes in each direction, will give us some capacity back, but that's still not going to be the full capacity. So this is going to require a change in travel pattern for some time. I haven't got an exact time frame. I would hope that was the case, but I can't confirm until we do these additional checks and we get it in place. Yeah, correct. If you look at the strut, it's actually bolted halfway up, so it's 2 bits bolted together. We're going to unbolt the bottom piece, which is the damaged bent piece, take that out, put some new steel in and attach it to the bridge.
So there's a joint.
Absolutely, yep, there's a joint halfway up, yep.
And are there any significant engineering challenges involved around the permanent fix?
Absolutely. So the challenge with the permanent fix is readjusting the bridge. So when the strut was hit, it obviously sheared away from the bridge, and the load that was carrying disappeared, so it was no longer carrying any load, and that dispersed into all the other struts. When you put the new strut in, you have to tension that back up and put load back through that strut. To do that, you do have to jack the bridge and put tension into it. That's the bit that's quite challenging, and that's the bit we have to do quite a lot of design on to work out where to put the jacks, how much tension to put into it, and that's what our engineers are doing now. We've got to make sure that when we put the new strut in, that we don't do anything that affects the rest of the bridge, because it's very dynamic. You put pressure here, it has an effect somewhere else, so we have to manage that.
Given the load that was on the dual, that's basically sort of torn away in there, is the fact that we were sort of at capacity on the bridge part of how much damage has been caused? Because if you watch the video, you see a truck tip over and then sort of drive away, and now we've shut down the entire bridge with the exception of the roads. Is this part of the fact that that bridge is just overloaded?
No, it's not. It's not overloaded, so it has got capacity. But each of those members up there are up there for a reason. They wouldn't be there otherwise. So they all carry part of the load on the bridge. So the bridge is quite comfortable carrying its own weight at the moment. What we are concerned about was without that piece of the bridge there, that we aren't as confident with carrying the amount of live load on it, because we've lost some capacity in the bridge to do that, which is why we're being cautious and have closed the centre span until we get this temporary fix in.
What are you going to do with the bit that you've removed? Has there been any interest from MOTAC, who's both technology and transport, about taking off your hands?
I haven't had any, but I haven't had any discussions yet, but anything's possible for sure.
How old is that?
We've been put in when the bridge was constructed, so 60 years old.
And what is involved in the design to driving heavy trucks over the bridge? Where do those trucks come from that will be driving over the bridge?
Yeah, so our contractors will source the trucks, we'll load those trucks up, we'll drive them up onto the main part of the bridge and we'll park them up there, and then we'll have measurement devices to measure how the bridge performs and make sure that matches identical to our design, so that it's performing as per our design. Great, thanks very much everyone.